Alan Blinder is the former vice chair of the Fed. He's now a professor at Princeton University. He joins me now. So great to have you on. Thanks so much. You have said that the Fed should perhaps pause right now, right, from after what we saw with SVB. Do you think that this was the wrong decision to hike rates by 25 basis points?
I think it was the wrong decision, and maybe that's the answer to the question you were asking Richard before about the market, although the market was expecting it. I want to emphasize it's only 25 basis points. So when we say the wrong decision, that means a little bit wrong versus a little bit right. Can I read you a sentence off the statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
It reads this. Recent developments are likely to result in tighter credit conditions for households and businesses and to weigh on economic activity, hiring, and inflation. The extent of these effects is uncertain. I agree 100% with every syllable. That's an argument to pause. You don't know what's coming at you, so you pause and wait till you learn more.
And that's the thing. You've been the one that has been very vocal about, we've got to shake things up a little bit to see what's going on. We need to look under the hood even deeper. What is your prognosis in terms of what lies ahead? Because you've said this isn't about too big to fail. It's about too interconnected to fail. And there is a concern that we'll see more state and regional banks coming under pressure.
That is the concern, and we don't know that. The hope, cross fingers, is that the handful of banks that have already, I was going to say step forward, have been pushed forward into the spotlight, led by Silicon Valley Bank, is the whole thing, and there won't be any more. Would you bet $1 million on that? I don't think so. There may be more. If it's only one or two or three more, this is not going to be a big deal, and in a year's time, we'll have forgotten about it. Yeah. If it's 30, 40, 50 more, this is a much, much bigger deal. And we don't know the answer to that right now.
The inflation target, the 2%, again, you have said this is something that should be taken into consideration, but probably not even remotely discussed. So I'll put something else forward. What about creating a bigger range to give the Fed wiggle room? Is the 2% inflation level even viable in this day and age for the US?
It's an excellent question. I have thought and said for years now, maybe decades, I'm not sure when I started, that a range, maybe 100 basis point range, makes a lot more sense than an exact number. So if instead of a 2% target, have 1.5 to 2.5. That, by the way, had we done it many years ago, would have relieved the angst the Fed had when inflation was running, can you imagine, about 1.7%. That was a worry. I mean, I don't think anybody should have been worried about that. And if they had the broader range target, it would have been in the range.
Exactly. And look, we know the Fed was behind the curve. They should have acted sooner. We've discussed this in the past. I'm just curious in terms of regulation around the banking sector right now. So we know that the Dodd-Frank bill in 2010 was, the threshold in terms of what was systemically important was at $50 billion. They then changed that to $250 billion in 2018. Then the rate, the threshold too high. You've been very vocal. SVB was sitting at, I think, just over $200 billion when this crisis broke out. What is the happy medium, and how quickly can that regulation get into effect to protect the system that clearly is vulnerable?
Let me answer the second question first, because it's so easy. Not quickly at all, because that was a law that Congress passed in 2018. And you know what's going on in the American political system these days. To get anything through Congress is a Herculean task. So I don't see that happening in law. Now, the Fed can go beyond the law and just look more closely at banks of that size, even though they are still below the 250 threshold. If I had my druthers, it's clear to me, and it was clear at the time, that 50 was too low a threshold, 250 was too high a threshold. That leaves a pretty wide range. I don't know what the right number is, 100, 150 maybe, something like that. But in any case, Congress is not going to change it.
As long as it's a Herculean task and not a Sisyphean task, we could live with that. Alan, great to see you, sir. Always great to have you on the show. Much appreciated for your time.